Hello everybody. I am going to do, I got some requests from some of the viewers, and this one that has to do with the items I do add into my tank as a supplementation. So the first one is phytoplankton. I grow my own. It's about a 1 liter bottle. I add a half a bottle every other day. Second one here is No Pox by Red Sea. I add 20 milliliters every single day, and I have a 200-gallon tank. Next one is Vitamin C. I add that one's by Brightwell Aquatics. I add it twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I do 50 milliliters each time. And then Vitamin M, I add that. That's also Brightwell Aquatics. I add it once a week on Wednesday, and that's 50 milliliters. And then Vitachem by Boyd Enterprises, I add that every other day, usually 10 milliliters, something small. Next thing I do is I add Reef Energy Plus, it's the AB Plus by Red Sea Coral Nutrition. I do 40 milliliters every other day, and then 40 milliliters every other day of AcroPower. So that's my regimen I have going on. I do not dose with alkalinity or calcium at this point. I will explain that in a little bit. Alright guys, I'm downstairs now. This is where I mix my salt water. That's where my RO water container goes. Mix my salt water in here. There's my RO unit. But the reason I don't dose, and I haven't needed to, is I use Red Sea Coral Pro Salt. That's what I use to mix it. I mix my salt of 1.025 in my tank, and it keeps all week. My calcium's usually hovers around 450, alkalinity around 10.5. So I haven't needed to add any alkalinity or calcium into my aquarium. I do keep an eye on it, but I don't chase numbers like a lot of people do. I find that to be real tedious, so I don't chase numbers like that. But I do test for alkalinity and stuff. I'll test, if I'm, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. So it usually stays pretty steady. My pH is usually always steady between 8.2 and 8.3. So, okay, now we're going to head back upstairs. Okay, and as you can see, this is what I have under the tank. A lot of you have seen this before. A lot of my live rock in my sump. A lot of extra live rock. I probably got, I don't know, 50 pounds of rock in there, I don't know. And there is my algae scrubber, which I love. And then back there you can see my 36 watt EV sterilizer, which has been working like a champ. And then here are my cups that I put carbon in, and I use ChemiPure Blue carbon, 4 of them. The 11 ounce size carbon, I change those out, once a month, once every 2 months, something like that. So alright, here's the old tank today. So one question I got asked was they had a Melanurus wrasse and a yellow chorus wrasse, and they wanted to add more wrasses and wanted to know what to add or what not to add with those two. I've had both of them myself. Of course, again, and let me just do a little disclaimer, every fish is different. Yellow chorus, I've never had an issue with them at all. They're pretty docile. So any wrasse would be fine with the yellow chorus wrasse. As far as the Melanurus, I've had one time that was great, and then I got a second one, and that one turned out to be terrible. So he's no longer in the tank. He's back at the local fish store. So again, everybody's an individual. But if you don't notice any issues with them, any wrasse, as you can see what kind of wrasses I have. You know, I have leopards. I have 2 China wrasses. I have the, you know, earmuff wrasse. There's a Moyer leopard wrasse. I have a large twisty wrasse and a little tiny baby twisty wrasse, and he's like, there he is over there. I don't know if you can see him, but he's like really little. So, and there's the other one of the China wrasses, red chorus. And then all that depends. There's a little tyke over there. See, he's a little bitty. There's the bigger one. So really, with those 2 fish, any wrasse would be fine. I would encourage people to, unless they have a large tank, you know, 300-gallon plus, I would encourage people to think twice about putting any kind of thalassoma wrasse, like, for example, blue-headed wrasse, lunar wrasse. I think there's one called a rainbow wrasse or paddlefin wrasse, banana wrasse. They're beautiful. They're a lot of times not very expensive and very tempting, and I've made the mistake myself. And they're fine usually when you first put them in, but once they start to mature, they will go after everything in your tank. And, you know, they'll start with your wrasses and they'll kill them off, and they'll just start hammering anything that's smaller than they are. And they grow, and they all keep in mind too, a lot of those wrasses get to be a foot long or more. So, you know, unless you unless you have a 300-gallon tank plus, I would try to stay away from those type wrasses, you know. And then it's here's so I'd stick with maybe Halochorus, which would be a Millinaris is a Halochorus. Also, a Radiant wrasse is a Halochorus. I have one of those. Earmuff is a Halochorus, but they're a little more difficult. You know, and then your leopards are fine. Keep in mind, leopards are more docile. You know, they're not as aggressive. They're aggressive to each other, but they're not as aggressive to anything else. So, you know, keep that in mind. And they are a little more difficult. You know, there's my large one. I am waiting for her to turn. I'm hoping she'll turn into a male at some point. So, you know, I would just, you know, that's what I would try, you know. And then, of course, any of the fairy flasher wrasses, you know, and stuff. I don't have a fairy wrasse, and some people have asked, why don't you put a fairy wrasse in there? I've thought about it. You know, I'm not a big fairy wrasse fan, I guess. I do like the Scott's fairy wrasse if you can get like a super male or something like that because of the colors. But other than that, I'm not a big, you know, fairy wrasse fan. I've had a couple, and they've turned out to be, some of them have been aggressive, you know, and stuff. And, you know, especially with, like, some of my favorite wrasses are, like, for example, China wrasse. You know, they're, like, some of my favorites. And, you know, I wouldn't want to put something in here that might take them out, you know, for sure. So that's, you know, and so I definitely appreciate people asking those questions because that's what good husbandry is in this hobby. So it's definitely ask questions because we've all been there and done that, and I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. I'm sure everybody else has too, and I don't mind sharing my mistakes, I can tell you that. I have no problem with that. So, you know, I mean, just like, you know, I put in a, you know, flameback angel, a Brazilian one, or not Brazilian, excuse me, the African flameback angel. I put in him, I had him for a year, and he was just absolutely terrible. I mean, you know, he'd go after everything. You know, the older he got, and he was big and fat, if you've seen some of my other videos, big and fat, the older he got, the worse he got. So finally, you know, I had to go in and 2-net job, you know, it was a kind of a 2-net thing, you know, and 2-person operation, and had to catch him and take him back to the fish store. So he's replaced with a lemon peel and a flame angel. So he got replaced, you know, because he was getting, you know, he started, I mean, he would definitely terrorize any of the dwarf angels. If you tried to put another dwarf angel in, that wasn't happening. But then he started going after new wrasses. So, like, for example, what really did it for me was the last straw was when I put in the small twisty wrasse he didn't care about because he was so little. But when I put in the larger twisty wrasse, he flipped out, and he wouldn't let the wrasse come out of the sand. Every time he came out of the sand, he chased him back in the sand. It was really bad. So I had to, that was it. I had to catch him, put him in the sump until I could take him to my fish store, which I did. So anyway, as far as the wrasse thing goes, any wrasses would go with the Melanurus or the yellow chorus. You know, again, I stay, again, you know, I mean, I definitely, and also another one to stay away from, in my opinion, because I've had bad experience, is any of the lined wrasses are very aggressive as well towards other wrasses. So if you plan on keeping more than one wrasse, I would stay away from the lined wrasses, such as the 6-line and the 8-line. The 6-line, people sometimes think, oh, they're so little, you know, but they will turn in, they're little, but they'll turn into a demon. And they'll attack anything. They'll attack fish as big as that DiGiardini tang, you know. I mean, they're really bad. So, I don't know if they attack the pass or angelfish, though, because he's mean. Or the soul tang, he's mean too, but... So, that is my advice. If anybody else has wants any information or videos or any special requests, I'll be more than happy to do any video for anybody. So, alright everybody, thanks for watching. Happy reefing. And if you like my channel, please share it with other people, and definitely like the video. Thanks, guys.